This is the Dell Precision 3591, a so-called entry-level mobile workstation that's packing Intel's Core Ultra 7, NVIDIA's RTX 2000 Ada, 64 gigabytes of RAM, and a 2 terabyte Gen 4 SSD. On paper, it looks like a beast for engineers, 3D artists, developers, and creators. Today we're going to see what this machine can really do, in all its glory, and whether you should buy this instead of a gaming laptop or a higher-end Precision. I'll walk through build quality, thermals, real-world performance, some creator and dev workflows, and of course the downsides that might be deal breakers for you. Time codes are on screen and in the description if you want to jump around. I got this on loan from a buddy, so I didn't actually get to unbox it. But I was told it was in a large cardboard box with plenty of spacer, and all that was in there is a quick start guide, the 130-watt USB-C AC adapter with the power cord, and the laptop itself. That 130-watt power adapter should already tell you how much performance you can expect out of this laptop. Let's start with what I'm actually testing here. This Precision 3591 configuration is pretty stacked. It comes with an Intel Core Ultra 7 165H that's 16 cores, 22 threads, boosting up to 5.0 gigahertz. You get an NVIDIA RTX 2000 Ada laptop GPU with 8 gigabytes of GDDR6, 64 gigabytes of DDR5 56600 memory across 2 SODIMMs, and a 2 terabyte Samsung 980 Pro PCIe 4.0 NVMe SSD. The display is a 15.6-inch 1920 by 1080 IPS class panel, and for connectivity, you've got Intel Wi-Fi 6E AX211, Bluetooth, plus 1 gigabit Ethernet. Powering all of that is a roughly 97 watt-hour battery. This isn't marketed for normal home consumer, but more for business and enterprise-grade prosumers. It's an ISV-certified business workstation aimed at CAD, BIM, 3D, data, video, and heavy development work, sitting just below the bulkier Precision 5000 and 7000 series in Dell's lineup. At first glance, the Precision 3591 really just looks like a classic Dell business machine. There's no RGB, no aggressive gamer angles, just a clean, dark chassis with subtle precision branding. Build quality is solid for a 15-inch workstation. The keyboard deck has minimal flex, the hinge is firm, you can often open it with one finger in the right position and it still feels stable, and while the lid has a bit of give if you twist it. For a portable workstation, this is comfortably within normal business-grade territory. Overall, it feels like a laptop you can actually toss in a backpack and take to clients or on-site without feeling like you have to baby it every second. Connectivity is one of the big reasons you buy a Precision instead of an Ultrabook. On this 3591, you're actually pretty well covered. You get a Genesis Logic card reader, which is handy if you're dealing with micro SD cards or camera media. There's a 3.5mm audio combo jack, 2 USB-A ports for all your legacy dongles, flash drives, and hardware keys, a full-size HDMI port, an RJ45 Ethernet jack backed by an Intel controller, and even a Kensington lock port for physical security. On the left side, you get 2 USB-C Thunderbolt ports with DisplayPort and power delivery, so you can drive external displays, charge, and hook into high-speed docks from a single cable. On the wireless side, you're covered by Intel's Wi-Fi 6E AX211 and Bluetooth, so you're ready for 6 GHz Wi-Fi networks and modern wireless peripherals. The bottom line is that this thing is clearly built to drop into a proper workstation setup with multiple displays and fast wired networking, then unplug and go without carrying a bag full of dongles. Inside is where this thing really earns the workstation badge. The LCD is an IPS 1080p panel with 60 Hz refresh rate. Viewing angle is great, but the color accuracy is a different story. It is fine for normal use, but I wouldn't use this for any serious color grading work. The keyboard is satisfying to type on. There's a decent amount of travel for keys and clear tactile feedback. It won't be competing with any mechanical keyboard, but it is definitely good enough for daily use. The Core Ultra 7 165H is Intel's Meteor Lake H chip with a hybrid layout, 6 performance cores, 8 efficient cores, and 2 low-power E cores, for a total of 16 cores and 22 threads. Dell sets the long-term power limit at around 50 watts, with short boosts up to about 80 watts. So under heavy all-core workloads, it can hold high clocks without instantly smashing into a thermal or power wall. For memory, you get 2 DDR5 SO-DIMM slots, and this unit is fully loaded with 64 gigabytes of DDR5 5600. That's fantastic if you're working with large Revit or SolidWorks assemblies, running multiple VMs for dev and test, or juggling heavy Chrome, Docker, and IDE multitasking all at once. Storage is also very workstation friendly. You get 2 M.2 2280 PCIe 4.0x4 slots. This particular unit has a Samsung 980 Pro 2TB in one slot, with the second slot left open for future expansion. There's no 2.5-inch bay, but with modern high-capacity NVMe drives, that's really not a meaningful limitation anymore. Moving into GPU and pro workloads, the star of the show here is the NVIDIA RTX 2000 Ada laptop GPU. It's based on the Ada Lovelace architecture, and in raw shading power, it's in the same ballpark as a GeForce RTX 4050 laptop, but it's tuned and certified specifically for professional workflows. In terms of specs, you're getting 8 gigabytes of GDDR6, 3072 CUDA cores, 24 RT cores, and 96 tensor cores. In practice, that means this machine is built to handle CAD and BIM applications like AutoCAD, Revit, SolidWorks, and CATIA, 3D content creation in Blender, 3ds Max, and Maya, using CUDA and optics, GPU-accelerated work in Adobe Premiere Pro, After Effects, and Photoshop, and a lot of AI and machine learning workloads that lean on CUDA and those tensor cores. And yes, when you're done working, it will game just fine at 1080p in most titles at medium to high settings. Just keep in mind the priority here. The drivers and thermals are tuned for stability and professional applications, not for squeezing out every last frame in something like Cyberpunk. A thin 15-inch chassis with a 50-watt CPU and a Pro RTX GPU is never going to be silent under load, and the Precision 3591 is no exception. Under heavy CPU-only workloads, the fan ramps up to a clearly audible, steady whoosh, noticeable but not obnoxious or jet engine loud. When you're hammering both the CPU and the RTX GPU for rendering or simulations, the cooling moves firmly into workstation mode. It's not gaming laptop screaming, but you'll definitely be aware that it's working. The upside is that Dell clearly prioritizes sustained performance and safe thermals over being ultra-quiet at the cost of speed, which is exactly what you want in a serious workstation. For office work, browsing, email, and coding on the integrated Intel Arc graphics, the system stays quiet and cool most of the time, fading into the background. Battery life really depends on how you use it. With light workloads on the integrated graphics and medium screen brightness, getting several hours of genuine work out of the roughly 97 watt-hour battery is realistic. I was able to squeeze out 6 hours of looping the same YouTube video before it turns itself off. With continuous gaming or CUDA workloads on the RTX GPU, you're down to only 2 to 3 hours at best, just like any powerful mobile workstation. So this is a machine that can absolutely run on battery when you need it to. But for long render jobs or heavy simulation sessions, you'll want to be plugged into the high-wattage Dell power adapter. I'll go ahead and put the charts up for the benchmarks. All games were tested on multiple runs using medium presets. FSR is on, but FrameGen is off. This laptop definitely surprised me a little bit. I was able to get decent frames and graphics out of it in the most demanding of games. Unlike other mini PCs that I have tested, this thing did not disappoint during long gaming sessions. The frame rates stay consistent, and the IPS screen is a joy to look at. For Davinci Resolve Studio, this laptop performs well. I was able to scrub a 1080p timeline smoothly. On the other hand, working with 4K timeline is still passable, but there will be some delays and hiccups. It is quite capable when it comes to editing large timelines, as it is equipped with 64 gigabytes of memory. For a 4-minute YouTube 1080p render, it took about 8 minutes. The same project rendered in 4K took about 55 minutes. This is definitely respectable if you factor in its form factor. However, if you are looking to upscale videos, then I highly recommend going to a dedicated workstation class GPU, or it will take far too long to render. Since this laptop is a business class with an NPU built in, I definitely tested LLM inferencing. And honestly, I was a bit disappointed. I only tested up to a 32 billion parameter model, since anything larger will be too slow to give any meaningful results. It's not all perfect though. So let's walk through the main concerns. First, the display on this particular unit. The 1080p resolution is totally fine for day-to-day work, but the color coverage at around 66% sRGB really isn't ideal for color-critical creative work. If you're a photographer, designer, or colorist, you should plan on using a good external monitor or picking a different panel option. Second, there's no ECC memory. As a 3000 series Precision, this model uses standard DDR5 SODIMMs, not ECC. For most engineering, development, and creative workflows, that's perfectly acceptable, but if your environment truly requires ECC, you'll need to step up to a 5000 or 7000 series Precision instead. Third, price versus gaming laptops. If you only care about raw gaming FPS, a similarly priced gaming laptop with an RTX 4060 or 4070 is likely to outperform this machine in games. What you're paying for here is everything around the GPU. Pro-grade drivers, stability, upgradability, and Dell's business support ecosystem. Finally, there's the usual bloat and tuning. Like most OEM systems, you'll want to spend a few minutes uninstalling unneeded utilities, double-checking Dell optimizer settings, and dialing in the power profiles so they actually match your workload. None of these are deal breakers if you understand what you're buying, but they are important trade-offs to be aware of upfront. You should seriously consider this Dell Precision 3591 configuration if you're an engineer or architect working in CAD or BIM with medium to large projects, a 3D artist or motion designer who really values CUDA and RTX acceleration in a portable form factor, a developer or DevOps engineer running VMs, containers, databases, and large builds locally, or an IT buyer who needs a standardized, supportable mobile workstation platform for a team. However, if your work is heavily color critical, or you need absolute top-end GPU performance, you might be better off with a higher gamut panel, plus a good external monitor, a jump up to a Precision 5000 or 7000 series with beefier GPUs, or a desktop workstation paired with a lighter laptop. Thanks for sticking with me through this deep dive into the Dell Precision 3591. If you found this helpful, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss future workstation and laptop reviews. Drop a comment and tell me how you'd spec your ideal Precision. More GPU, more storage, or would you cut back to 32 gigs of RAM and save some cash? All the links, the sponsor deals from KeysFan, and any updates or corrections are down in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.